But the day we left Rishikesh, we crossed over the Lakshman Julan Bridge by foot and then had a car waiting that took us to Meerut and then to New Delhi. Meanwhile, some of our devotees who were on the other side of Ganga, they were going to go from that side. Well, we got a call, Govinda Prabhu got a phone call, that they were being delayed hour after hour after hour. Because we left early in the morning and all the roads were closed. Why? Because before it becomes very light out, that road is closed by the military. Why? Because of wild elephants. There has been cases of wild elephants trampling people to death and even destroying cars on the road. Hare Krishna. It's very dangerous. Elephants are the most powerful animal there is. Oh, I could go on and on talking about elephants. I went to Guruvayur to see the elephant devotees of the Lord, and I saw one elephant, big male elephant with tusks. He wrapped his trunk around a tree and just went. Literally, with my own eyes. He ripped the tree with all its roots right out of the ground and just threw it like a piece of straw. Elephants are very powerful. Now, Gajendra was the king of the elephants in the heavenly world. He was millions of times more powerful than any elephant of this world. He was the king of the jungle. And he had his family. And he loved his wife, and he loved his children. And he went on a nice holiday with them to enjoy. He went into a lake of water, and he was spraying his children and spraying his wife, and they were very happy. And he was feeling so satisfied that they are seeing my prowess. And then a crocodile bit him. It wouldn't let go. It was dragging him into the water, and he was fighting. The nature of material life is whatever arrangement you make, whoever you are, there's always something that's going to defeat you, sometime, somewhere. If not some person, or some animal, or some disease, time will defeat you. The crocodile of time has his jaws around everyone. Hare Krishna. So this crocodile, Gajendra, was fighting for a long time. Crocodiles in water. The crocodile's drinking water, getting nourished. Gajendra's out of the water. He's a land animal. He was getting weaker and weaker. He turned to his friends, turned to his wife, turned to his children. Help me, help me. Nobody could help him. They just stood there bewildered, crying, just watching him being destroyed. In that spirit of total desperation and utter defeat, he started to contemplate what an illusion he's been in. All my powers cannot save me in my greatest need, and all my loved ones cannot help me in my greatest need. He renounced. He renounced his false ego. He renounced this janasya mohoya mahamameti, that I am the doer and whatever is in relation to me is mine. And Mahatmanastu mam parata daivim prakriti mashata. At that point, he became a Mahatma. I'm helpless. God, I'm yours. He surrendered to the Lord. He picked up a lotus flower and offered it to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the sky and offered beautiful prayers of surrender. That is renunciation. And the Lord descended and cut the crocodile's mouth off and brought Gajendra to Vaikuntha. Humility is the perfection of renunciation. You can renounce sex, which is very difficult to do, but also you can get great power by doing that. But if you renounce it for the purpose of utilizing all that energy in the loving service of the Lord, that is a great offering too. Or other people, grihastas, they use the power of sex for the purpose of the Lord. Krishna says in Gita, sex according to religious principles to beget God-conscious children, I am that sex. That is also renunciation. But really, the essential quality of renunciation is humility. To give up the false ego and understand I am completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Rupa Goswami says this is one of the cardinal symptoms of real surrender. Complete dependence on the Lord. That takes complete humility. Gajendra had his own physical power. But it was his humble renunciation that attracted the supreme power. Another example, Dushasana, the younger brother of Duryodhana. Each of his arms had the power of 10,000 elephants. Hare Krishna. Now I told you the power of one elephant at Guruvayur. Multiply that by 10,000. Put both of his arms together, that's 20,000 elephants. Now, you may be proud of your arms, but I'm sorry to tell you, you are simply insignificant. At the best, in relationship to God or material energy. Dushasana had such power, and he was a trained, practiced Kshatriya. And he was trying to pull the sari off Draupadi. Draupadi didn't have much at all. But she did have Bhima, Yudhisthira, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadev as her husbands. She turned to them, help me. She was obviously proud to have husbands like that. Help me. They just put their heads down. They couldn't help. She turned to Bhishma, her husband's grandfather, who was the most powerful man on earth. Help me. He just put his head down. She turned to Dhritarashtra, the king, who could have given order. Help me. Just put his head down. No one wanted to help her. No one wanted to interfere with this situation. It was too complex. She tried to hold on to her own sari, but that was hopeless. What did she do? She raised her arms and she cried out Krishna's names. Hey Krishna, hey Govinda. Because she was wise, she knew. She didn't call out for Narayan. She didn't cry out for Shiva. She didn't cry out for anyone else. She knew in this desperate condition of the greatest need, she cried out, "Hey Krishna, hey Govinda." She needed the ultimate, supreme, original power of God. And Krishna descended. And here is the 20,000 elephants of Dushasana's arms, pulling, 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 and pulling, and even pulling more. And Krishna made so much sari material that Dushasana became very sorry. There's nothing else. He was exhausted. There was nothing else he could do. He was defeated. This is the power of renunciation. The renunciation of humility, which is the very foundation of devotion. Why are we all here tonight? Many of us were very, very much captured by the powers of Maya. One of our Guru Maharaj's godbrothers talked to Lord Jetland, who was at one time, he was a very, very powerful person here in India under the British Empire. And he asked our Gurudev's godbrother, "Can you make me a Brahmin?" And this is a very distinguished gentleman, one of the British lords. He said, "Yes, you just follow these 4 principles. No illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling, no meat eating." What did Lord Jetland said? "Impossible. How will I live?" It's very difficult. And it was much easier for him because he didn't have satellite TV and Baskin and Robbins ice cream parlors on the corner. And all the sense gratification that's available to all of you. In a city like Bombay, what to speak of young people in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 21st century in America. So much power of Maya all around us. It's impossible to give these things up. But Srila Prabhupada, 70-year-old, he just had 2 heart attacks with no money, no contacts in America, on a cargo ship. Now, some of you may be thinking about going to the West for some software engineering job or something like that. Take a cargo ship, I dare you. Takes 32 days. You just get on a jet plane and go, and somebody's waiting for you at the airport with a car or a taxi. Prabhupada was on a boat. If no one was there to wait he didn't know if anyone was going to be at the docks waiting for him. He had no money and no place to go. But he offered a prayer. "Krishna, I'm helpless. I have no power. If you give me the power to speak, they will understand me. If you manifest through my words, their hearts will be transformed. I have no bhakti, no devotion. I have no knowledge, but you've given me the name Bhaktivedanta. It's up to you, Lord, to fulfill the meaning of this name." My Lord, I am just your puppet. You can make me dance any way you want me to dance. I am your puppet. And he signed the letter, "You're insignificant beggar. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, or A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. It was because Prabhupada was completely renounced. He knew, I'm not the doer. I'm not the enjoyer. I'm not the proprietor. I'm just the puppet of Krishna. Krishna empowered him with such divine strength that he transformed over the decades millions of people's hearts and gave them the strength to give up sinful activities, to live a pure spiritual life, and to speak and live in such a way to transform other people's lives. That is the power of renunciation. And it is that power that has transformed our lives, or giving us the opportunity to transform our lives. From one of ego to one of humility. From greed to selfless service. From lust to love. Shruti Dharma Prabhu was speaking about practice. Bhakti means to practice according to Krishna's loving plan. The Lord tells us in Gita, Ragadvesha vimuktaishtu vishayan indriyaishcharan atmavashya vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. One who controls his senses or her senses by following the regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord and thus be free from all attachments and aversions of this world. This is the essence. To follow the regulative principles of freedom, just to show our honesty and our sincerity before God. But what saves us is His complete mercy. On the path of bhakti, all our practice is only to access a mercy and a power that is infinitely beyond our own. Like Draupadi, Gajendra, Ambarish, Prahlad, or Srila Prabhupada, that same power is available to all of us forever. Because that power is within our heart. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hridaya junatishthati, the all-powerful, all-opulent Lord with all His 6 opulences is forever seated within our hearts. But our attention is so much in another direction. The path of bhakti is simply to turn our attention back to the Lord within the heart and put ourselves under His loving care. And then all of His supreme opulences are ours. In this age of Kali, the Lord is so kind. All of His opulences are within His name. Harinama, Harinam, Harinameva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatiranyata. In this age of Kali, there's no other way that is superior to the chanting of the holy names of Hari to achieve the goal of loving devotional service to Krishna, the supreme liberation. But in order to chant the name properly, we must be renounced. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us what renunciation really means in essence. Trinadapi sunichena, taror ibasi hishnuna. Amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Real renunciation is not being a great yogi in the caves. That may be a certain type of renunciation. But the real essence of renunciation is to feel oneself more humble than a blade of grass. To be more tolerant than a tree. To offer all respect to others and not expect any respect for oneself. That is renunciation. And in that spirit, Krishna is pleased. Krishna bestows his mercy upon us, and we taste the sweetness of his name. Our hearts are conquered by the sweetness of Krishna's beauty and love when we chant his names. We should chant the name like a little sparrow. Every day the mother comes and feeds the sparrow a worm. But one night, in a storm, the mother is killed. And that little sparrow is waiting and waiting for days. And cries out for its mother. Waiting and waiting. It is in that state of consciousness that we should cry out the holy names of Krishna. And if we do, with that humility, all the power of God will be there to uplift us and protect us. That is the power of renunciation. And that is how we all strive to raise our arms and loudly cry out Krishna's name. Thank you very much.